The pocket transit also can be used to get...
Some men, like Ted Phillips, are dedicated to finding answers for the growing number of perplexed people who have had UFO experiences. Phillips is an amateur scientist and UFO investigator.
Neat little pocket penetrometer.
Phillips has taken soil samples at dozens of reported UFO landing sites. He and his fellow investigators have amassed reports of no less than 60,000 UFO sightings in the past 30 years. Many of these were fairly easy to explain. Conventional aircraft, weather balloons, flocks of geese. But more than 900 cases remain unexplained. Phillips has an important ally in his search, the University of Kansas Aerospace Science Laboratory. It is the place he sends soil samples for analysis. Dr. Edward Zeller is the man in charge. Zeller believes it would be unscientific to ignore UFO reports, and that the techniques of hard scientific analysis can be put to work finding answers. Medford, Minnesota. Medford provided Dr. Zeller with a test sample, and a remarkable story told by Janet Kay provides the background.
On the night of November 2nd, 1975, I was sitting here doing my homework, and I looked out the window, and right above the blue building, I saw a UFO come down out of the sky. And it landed behind the building, and behind the building is a football field. It landed there.
There were two other witnesses, Janet's mother, Helen, and her brother, Jerry.
A lot of people in town saw it. I don't know how many people saw it and told us the next day that they saw this thing up in the sky.
In the sky.
As we pulled around the driveway here, I noticed up by the blue shed over there that there was something in the sky. So I pulled out of the driveway, and I said, turn down here, we can maybe get closer to it. So we just went over this way. And then you could just see it real good before the trees. It was definitely right there. And we just drove up here, and by that stop sign there, the railroad tracks, there's a fence across, so we couldn't go any further. And we just noticed it. It was just coming right in front of the trees, and we just stood here a minute till we saw it just glide over the top of the trees, and then it was gone.
Well, a couple days later, after we saw the UFO go down, I saw a lot of people over here looking at something, so I came over here and I found this big brown spot on the football field where the grass had been burnt. As you can see, the blue building is right over there, and the burn spot is right here, and it's right in line with the window we saw the UFO come down from.
Now, this happens to be the sample from the Medford site, number 2, which does show some strange luminescence properties. And so I'd want to make sure that the sample that I'm dealing with is not in itself radioactive. And I don't find that it is. I don't see any evidence of increased radioactivity.
Yeah, at the time, it wasn't scary. It didn't frighten me when I looked out the window and I saw it. I didn't get scared or anything. But afterwards, when I realized that what I had seen was unexplainable, that's when it started to get scary. And then when they found the patch on the football field, well, that got a little worse.
Furnace ready to be inserted here into the light chamber. And now we've inserted the sample, which is on the electric furnace, into the chamber, and we're going to start heating it.
It's been 6 months since we saw the UFO go down, and as you can see, the burnt spot is still visible. I just wish I knew what it was. Don't you think so?
Yeah, I mean, if it was something, from another country or something the Army was putting up in the air, I wish they'd come and tell us that this was it, and not just leave us out here thinking that it was something from some outer space place.
I'd be satisfied with any kind of an explanation.
Well, we're going to start off here by looking then at the glow curves, which I ran about 2 months ago on the Medford site. And if we look at the curve at the center of the site, we see that there's just a very small rise here. That is, the luminescence peak is very small. At the edge of the site, as we proceed along here, at the edge of the site, we discover the intense luminescence. Now, this luminescence that we are observing is apparently the result of some sort of radiation effect. It looks, at least, as though that particular sample at the edge of the site has been subjected to some kind of high-energy radiation.
If I had never seen a UFO, I wouldn't believe in it. I wouldn't believe me if I were you. Because I have nothing to show you. I can't say, you know, I saw this. I just have nothing. All you have is my word.
But there is more than just Mrs. K's word. In a recent Gallup poll, 15 million Americans claim to have seen a UFO. 15 million. The same poll showed that 51% of the adult population is convinced that flying saucers are real.